Hello everyone and welcome to my second Pokemon TCG video. So today things are going to be a little bit different than how my video actually was for yesterday. So I'm going to be essentially answering a few YouTube questions that I've been getting. For example, how to build up your collection, especially since I know that a lot of people here are new and not necessarily experienced. So let's start off with that, possibly go on to some deck building tips, and we'll finish it off with a Heatmor deck, which isn't necessarily top tier, but it's extremely easy to build, and once it gets going, it can be pretty menacing and powerful. So let's start off. Okay, so what we're going to start off looking at is how to build your collection. So let's see. So my collection is pretty big, but I will say that it took me quite a bit of time to actually build it up to the way it is right now, and a lot of my cards actually haven't buffered because I had pretty recently restarted and re-downloaded the Pokemon TCG video. Sorry, the Pokemon TCG game. So unfortunately, yeah, a lot of my cards you can't see it. But anyways, that shouldn't bother us too much. So to start off, one of the easiest ways to actually get booster packs is by logging in once a day. So as you can see, this little Pokeball right here, if you click on it, it tells you a daily reward that you'll get. So every 5 days, the reward that you get is a booster pack. So today happens to be day 2 for me, and tomorrow my next reward is a tournament ticket. So these prizes aren't necessarily too great, but every day that you're actually getting the booster pack, that's nice because it's a 10-card booster pack, and even though it's untradeable, it's still something to help expand and increase your collection. So another way of actually getting a lot of cards, a lot of Pokemon cards, is by going to the trainer challenge. And as you can see, there are 3 divisions. So what you would do, say for example, go to gold. I play in the hard mode because it allows you to accumulate points faster. So unfortunately, you have to choose one of the pre-made decks for you. So that can be a little annoying. And you always want to try and choose the deck that is super effective against your opponent. So say for example, if they're using a grass deck, go for the fire deck, do a lot of damage. So and then you select the trainer, and as you can see, I have 4 stars, but it actually takes several fights to actually get the 4 stars. So that's why if you're playing on the hard difficulty, it helps fill up this bar much faster. And once you actually get the 4 stars, you get 1 free booster pack. The booster pack is untradeable, but it comes with 10 cards, which is still pretty good. And as you can see, I've defeated everyone, and I've managed to accumulate 4 stars in all of them. And then as soon as you defeat the final opponent, you get an additional 3 booster packs for having cleared out an entire challenge. So that goes for the gold, platinum, and city championships. So those are some easy ways of actually earning some booster packs, most of which are unfortunately untradeable. Another way is, if you're really inclined to, you can always buy booster packs. I mean, this isn't necessarily for everyone, especially if you don't have any money to use on this game. But if you're Canadian, what you can do is you can actually buy gems online, or you can also buy real life booster packs and then redeem the codes right over here. And there's also a QR reader which can help scan your booster packs faster, or you can enter the codes. And yeah, so those are some easy ways to sort of start off. I would definitely recommend the trainer challenge, especially for newcomers. And then once you get a little bit more experienced, there's actually tournaments which are a really great way of earning booster packs. But unfortunately, they're not running right now. So as soon as the beta ends, tournaments will be on the regular again, and they give some really nice rewards. Say for example, so first place would have given 4 random booster packs, 2 random booster packs, and 1 booster pack, and 1 random booster pack. But then again, this was in the beta version, and I don't necessarily know how many changes are going to be happening with the new Pokemon TCGO game that's actually going to be released as soon as beta comes to an end. But yeah, as you can see, I really love tournaments, and I've played in quite a few of them, and they've given me some pretty sweet rewards. So that's another way. And as soon as the tournaments start up again, I highly recommend you guys start playing them, because it's an awesome way to actually accumulate both tournament tickets and some sweet prizes. Another thing to actually help with deck collection is if you actually trade. So the thing with trading is you actually have to be experienced and know what you're actually doing. So for example, a common thing that I do is I often trade booster packs for booster packs. Certain Pokemon cards, you'll eventually know that you can actually buy them cheap and then sell them for a lot. But just be aware that because a lot of the public trades are scams essentially, and it takes quite a while to actually learn what cards actually sell, at what prices to buy certain cards. And yeah, so these are essentially the best ways to start up your collection. Another question that I was asked was, how do I go about deck building? Where first of all, this actually comes with a lot of experience, and once you get good, you'll sort of get a basic idea of how to deck build. So, say for example, if I was to create a new deck in I want to play standard as opposed to unlimited. So whichever main Pokemon I would necessarily want, I have to make sure that I have a deck that revolves around him. So for example, if I wanted a Yveltal deck, I would use a few Yveltal EX, and I would use Yveltal because it complements it. And by using this attack, for example, which is very powerful, it allows me to attach a darkness energy from my discard pile right up to my Yveltal EX, which can very quickly do a lot of damage. And that's why it's especially popular given the current rotation that had recently happened. So yeah, I mean it's very much so like an experience process. I can't necessarily say that if you do this, you're going to be an awesome deck builder, but some basic rules to follow is that typically you want to range your Pokemon. You want to have a range of approximately 10 to 14-ish Pokemon. That's typically a pretty good range, but of course those rules can be broken, especially if you're using evolution decks, which especially 3-stage decks. So say for example, if I was to use a Dusknoir deck, so just the fact that I'm getting a Dusclops, Dusknoir, and Dusknoir, and Duskull, that's 3 Pokemon right there, and especially if you're running a 2-line, that can add up to 6 Pokemon already. So you have to be smart with your selections. Another thing is that I see a lot of beginning players doing is that they're never actually running enough. They're running too many energy cards within their deck. So typically, the smart range of energy cards to have, depending on the type of deck that you want to use, is 14 should be at the upper limit. Using more than 14 energy cards is usually too much because you can always have, say for example, if your cards are very wasteful, you can always have cards to help you retrieve the energies. So for example, energy retrieval. Why are you going to put an extra energy when instead you can put this and retrieve 2 energies from your graveyard? And then, for example, another card that you can use is speed up the fact and give you a higher likelihood of actually getting energy cards is Professor Letter. Oh, sorry, made a mistake there. Professor's Letter. My apologies. So that's another card that you can use. And typically what you want to have is you want your deck to be consisted in such a way that energy cards are by far the most numerous. So say for example, a typical professional deck might have 36 trainer cards, 12 energy cards, and 12 Pokemon cards. And the deck can be absolutely destructive depending on how they build it. So yeah, also, sorry, another tip that I definitely want to give everyone is always have a lot of draw power because in case you don't get a hand, in case you do get a hand that you specifically don't like, it's always useful to have cards like Professor Juniper in your deck, or Colress, or N, just so that you can constantly shift around your cards and you can get the cards that you need so that you can effectively deal a lot of damage to your opponent's monsters. So let's go back to the deck manager, and what we're going to look at today is we're not necessarily going to be looking at a competitive deck, but this is a very, very easy deck to build, and it can be, as I said earlier, it can be a pretty powerful deck, especially if you start him up early and you get a nice and easy start. It can be very hard for your opponent to catch up. I do want to mention a few things though. First of all, as you can see, this is a very atypical build. You normally don't want to have a deck like this, and against a very competitive deck, chances are that you're probably going to lose because this is what I like to refer to as the gambler's deck because there's not a lot of skill involved. But essentially, Heatmor is going to be your attacker, and you're going to be focusing on using his second attack, Fiery Licks. So by discarding the top 4 cards of your hand, this attack does 50 damage times the number of fire energy cards that you've discarded. So as you can see, the majority of this deck is composed of fire energy cards, which you would normally never see in a competitive deck. And also some cards to help us speed up the energy acceleration would be Blacksmith. So for example, you can use Computer Search, discard 2 fire energy cards from your hand, grab a Blacksmith, and there you go, your Heatmor's powered up. Or maybe you can grab a Skyla, and then you can grab a Eder using Skyla, and also Ultra Ball, because you wanna be able to bring out your Heatmor into the field as soon as possible, because if you use the Fiery Licks attack, it can potentially discard your Heatmor, and your opponent only really needs 4 prize cards to win. So without further ado, let's go ahead and battle one of my friends. Let me see, hopefully he will accept it. Oh, and I do want to mention one thing. Regarding the giveaway, I will probably be announcing the winner within the next few days. So I wish everyone good luck, and hopefully you happen to win 10 random booster packs or the full art Colress. Okay, so let's go right ahead and send him a fight request. And by the way, guys, so this friend of mine, he's pretty experienced. He's very good. So chances are that we may lose, but that's nothing essentially to worry about too much. All right, so let's go right ahead and use that Heatmor deck. Okay, so let's see what this bad boy is made out of. Oh, another thing I want to mention with Heatmor is that he's a pretty good card, especially once you get him going. But as I said before, it's a gambler's deck, so you never really know how much damage you're going to do. Maybe one attack you'll be doing 100 damage, the next a devastating 200. And this deck is an automatic lose versus a Pyro deck. As soon as a Pyro comes out, you have absolutely no way of winning. So let's see how this goes. Alright, so hopefully we can get a nice and early start, bring out the second Heatmor, and let's end our turn right now since we can't attack. Alright, so let's see how this goes. So luckily for us, Hawlucha is completely useless because it can only attack defending EX Pokemon. I don't know what he's doing right now, but okay, Aura of Nature is annoying. Anyways, in case you guys want a bit of background context, Aura of Nature is actually a player who's been annoying Apple quite a bit. So yeah, that's more or less it. Alright, so we got a Blacksmith, so that's great. So next turn we can knock out that Hawlucha right away, unless he brings out his Kyurem, but that shouldn't really be too much of a problem either. Hopefully we can do 150 and get that one-hit knockout. Alright, so let's go right ahead and power up that Heatmor, attach fire energy, and let's go and attack and hope that we get 150. Okay, so that was a very bad attack. But you know what this also means is that if you discard a lot of your trainer cards using this deck early on in the game, then that means that your deck is mainly going to be composed of fire energy later on. So it can mean that you can do a lot of damage. But unfortunately, it looks like since our opponent's using a Donphin deck, chances are that we're probably going to lose. So I don't really know what our opponent's doing right now, because if he was to outrage me right now, since he's actually damaged, it can easily do a one-hit knockout on our Heatmor. Okay, so let's see what's going on in his head right now. things aren't looking too great right now, but you know what? As I've mentioned earlier, this isn't necessarily a top tier deck, and someone who knows how to build themselves and use a good deck, like Apple, will easily be able to counter a Heatmor deck. Okay, so I feel like the wisest choice would be for me to grab an Eder. So let's go right ahead and do that. Because if I was to Ultra Ball for another Pokemon, then my Heatmor would not be ready, and unfortunately that means I couldn't do anything. So chances are, hopefully this Eder will get us the Fire Energy, because the majority of our deck is composed of Fire Energy. And wow, things. This is actually ridiculous. I've actually never performed this poorly with a Heatmor deck before, but then again, you know what? This is a gambler's deck. Let's go right ahead and use the first attack to lure out his Lunatone and hope that he's unable to switch Pokemon. Oh, and looks like we've just lost the game right now. Alright, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be definitely having some more giveaways in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I've answered at least some of you guys' questions. And once again, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much.